We're already heading into the second week of February, and I really love February. The first seeds are sown and that hope of spring is in the air. All of those bulbs that I planted only a few short weeks ago, so many of them are starting to poke through the surface already. I am so excited for the season ahead. But yet here I am with my gloves on and my hat on because it is still freezing. So even though winter is almost over and spring is just within touching distance, we're not there yet, and there's still plenty of jobs that need to be getting done in February to prepare us for the season ahead. And the first thing that I'm going to sort out today is this beetroot bed, because foliage is all pretty rotten now and dying back, and I'm going to get these covers off, get them stored away somewhere out of the way, and then I'm going to clear this bed because I had a juicer for my birthday, which was way back in October, and Duncan bought me that juicer because he wanted to have beetroot juice. So it's about time that I took plenty of beetroot in so that I can make his birthday dreams for me come true. Now, I quite like these mesh things for keeping the pigeons off your plants, but it's another thing that is really awkward compared to just using the hoops that I have and a mesh cover to get in and out of. And I tend to find that I just don't bother doing anything with the bed. And obviously there's lots of weeds and things in here, so I don't know whether I'm going to use them again. Because again, it's things that I should have been pulling these weeds up as they came along, because things probably have seeded in here again, which is going to make the job even harder for this year. Some of these are only tiny beetroot, and I never get excited about a beetroot harvest because, well, I don't like beetroot. But I'm going to take them in and see how much juice I can make for Duncan. Now, they're not all tiny because there are definitely some bigger ones here. Whew, look at that one. Okay, so I don't like beetroot, but I can still appreciate a nice plant when it's harvested. Well, I've just been to get a big tub because I did not expect to be harvesting this many beetroot. It's like harvesting potatoes. Oh, I'll get these last few from around here. Wow. Not a bad haul for February, is it? So now I've got those out of the bed, I can get the weeds out and get the bed prepared, because it won't be long before I'll be sowing again in here. Oh, I'm so excited. February, March is just around the corner. Now, I was going to be harvesting the beetroot in this bed as well, because that's not looking the best anymore either, but I've got enough out of that bed to be getting on with, so that's going to have to wait for another week. But I do need to move these sheets before they blow about, and then I've got a job to do with the horses, and after I've done that I'll bring some manure back to put on the bed that I've just cleared. So let's go and do the horses together. I'm pretty certain I need to find somewhere better to store these. Oh, come on. Oh.
eating. Like a dog.
And I've got 3 piles of stuff going on here. The stuff right on the end here is okay. I've been putting it on the garden over winter, but I did put it on earlier in winter than right now. Obviously this is what I've been mucking out of the stables over winter, and then this is the pile that I'm going to be using today. Because this pile is probably just that little bit more finished. So I'm going to get that in the garden. The downside of this pile is, even though it's a little bit more finished, it's actually probably got more weeds in it. I have so many plans for this area, because what I'd like to do with this area is actually have some bays made for it so that I can properly separate things out. Right. I think that will do, just to top the bed up. And I've just remembered that I don't like using this barrow on the garden because it doesn't tip into the beds as easy. Huh. That was all me then. That's another bed ticked off the list. I'm really pleased to have gotten that one done. Now I'm going to get on with that really exciting project that I was talking about. It's probably not that exciting really. I may have oversold it to you. But, well, we'll let you see what you think, because it's exciting for me. Anyway. Today's job is to make a temporary window for the wash house. I think I'm going to have a window made for here eventually. Whether I go for a new metal window or have a wooden window, no idea. But for now, I want to seal this up. Now, the reason I want to effect a seal for this window is because you saw me sow all of those seeds last week, and a lot of those flower seeds will just, well, take over the seed station before I'm ready to sow the tomatoes and things later on in the season. So I want to seal this a little bit to make this area warmer, so that maybe mid to end of March I'll be able to bring some of those flower seeds and put them in here. I've got electric in the wash house, so I'm going to be able to put up some temporary shelves in here and just finish them off before they can go outside. So I'm going to just put a piece of perspex in here. So we're going to make a little bit of a frame to put the perspex on and screw it to it. And then obviously it just bides me a bit more time on what I'm going to be doing with this window, because I'm pretty certain that that can't be saved. First job that I want to do is take out all of the really dodgy broken pieces of glass, because they are perilous to fall out at any moment and I don't want that to happen. So I think if I take them out, that will indeed make things a little bit safer anyway. If I can get these gloves on, that is. And I have some safety glasses. Now this window casement is wedged by a piece of vine that had grown inside of the window and has actually grown itself to the outside of the frame. Oh, got that one. I can't get that though. I mean, that's quite solid, so maybe I could leave that for now and come back and address that piece. But what I really wanted to do was get this frame open. Yay, you've done it! Look at that, the window does open. Well, it opens quite well actually, doesn't it? Now we've done something really exciting off camera, because what we've actually managed to do is get the window to shut. So this side is completely shut now, and I actually think that means that this window can be saved, because it's not very good at the bottom of this casement, but I don't mind if this window never opens, as long as that top one does and that one opens really freely. So I think this is still going to be done, this temporary measure, but I think over summer I'm going to try and get all of the glass out of here and get this treated and just painted up and reglazed, because I think keeping the original window is definitely going to be a bonus. But for now, I want a little bit of a view. Because looking back at the camera and you, and seeing the greens and the blues of view through here, and all of this garden is finished and is just looking magnificently landscaped, because that is a goal at some point over the next few years, then it's just going to be so nice. moment of truth. Feels warmer in here already because normally there's such a big draft blowing through this window. I love it. Now whilst I was at B&Q, I also bought these 2 pieces of trellis because the rose that's outside the wash house here needs something better than this obelisk. Putting the other rose arch up has taught me, or learning how to prune them, that this needed something better. So I want to have the trellis up this side of the door and across the top so that Strawberry Hill from David Austin gets some really good ground to get going on. So, much to Duncan's disgust, I've just shown him another job. Poor Duncan. There's a few ties on this rose. I just cut these off and then hopefully I can pull the obelisk off. I think that's it. There you go. I'm getting the wart blocks. I'm trying to be helpful. All I really do is cause Duncan unnecessary jobs. I am really pleased with how that has turned out, but it does mean that I have another job to do today, which is to get this Strawberry Hill rose pruned and onto this bit of trellis. Now it grew quite a bit last year, so hopefully there'll be something worthwhile putting on there. And I keep finding bulbs, and you know, I don't think these are bulbs that I've planted. I actually think that there used to be bulbs in the ground here years ago, and I think we're just finding them, so I just keep popping them places, don't even know what they are. Now this has got quite a lot of canes on it, so it's a bit case of where do you start? And I guess I need to remember my own rules from that, which is to start with the diseased, damaged and dead. There doesn't seem to be a lot of diseased, damaged and dead, but I'm sure we'll find something. I mean, I'm going to take the ends off there. It's mainly just taking all these spent flower heads off that I never got around to doing last year. I think I'm finally in the habit of saying last year now. Right, now it's kind of getting in there and deciding which little canes we don't need. Not that one. I don't need any spindly bits like this. They are not strong canes. And I guess any that are going the wrong way. So these are growing forward. So as much as they don't look too bad, they're growing very far forward, so I'm not going to use those or that one. I might try and take some cuttings from what I'm taking off, because quite a few people put in the comments when I did the last one that I should have saved them for cuttings and had a go at propagating, so I will. Right, let's start tying it in and then see what else we're left with. Now this cane here on the floor is the biggest one I have, but it has gone quite stiff because obviously it should have been moulded into shape before now. But I think I can get it to curve sort of halfway up there, and that won't be too detrimental to it. So let's just see how I can get these tied onto the trellis. I'm hoping to keep my gloves on because my hands are freezing, but I might have to take them off in a minute. I think I will. I didn't really want to get stabbed by the rose either, but we need the dexterity to do the job. Now that didn't take too long, did it? But it's always scary. I think what I'm learning is, obviously, the reason this has been quite scary and I felt like I've needed to take so many canes off it is simply because obviously it was neglected last year because I didn't know how they should have grown. So a lot of these things should have been done last year and in fact weren't. And indeed, I very nearly left a little dead cane on the bottom of it. So that should be doing okay there now. And what I'm going to do in a minute is top up this with some wood chip just to really pack it in there and make it feel a bit more secure. It's not buried that deeply in here. But as I said, I do have lots of really healthy bits of cane. So what I'm going to do is see if I can propagate any of these. I'm going to take that one. This one's really big. I mean, you could probably take several cuttings from this one, to be honest. And what I'm looking for is an actual fresh bud on it. Ah, there's one there. So if I take it at that leaf there and cut it, I'd like another bud down here somewhere. There, just below that bud. Take that leaf off. Now I already have a pot in here, I did that earlier, and apparently all we need to do is plonk them on the edge of the pot so as they get plenty of drainage and just almost forget about them. And see what happens in a few months' time. I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. I can see the start of some structure and a plan of attack for how this is going to climb up and over this bit of trellis here and frame the door, and hopefully it's going to look absolutely magnificent in a few years' time. Now, one last job that I want to do for here is I have already put some manure, well, it's compost with manure in it, on top of here, but I want to put some wood chip on as well because I didn't really bury this one deep enough. Again, I was unsure how I should plant them and I planted it at graft level, but actually the graft should really be below the ground, so I just want to top up over it just to give it a little bit of warmth and protection for winter. Now, whilst I'm in the pruning mood, I am armed with a bottle of hand sanitizer and my secateurs. It is time to perhaps tackle some of the pruning on the new orchard. Not a lot of pruning needs to be done this year because obviously they are fairly new trees. Can't touch the plum. I won't be doing the walnut tree. I can do the almond because we don't have any frost forecast, but the apples and pears on here are what need the most attention. So let's get that job done and ticked off the list. And then maybe I can just put these secateurs away for a few weeks. I'm going to start with the autumn red pear tree here. If I can open the secateurs, I'm just going to tip some of the hand sanitizer on the blades, and I'm not bothered about my gloves getting sanitizer on them. And it's always a bit of a worry about what to do with them, isn't it? But I know I don't want things that are heading in, so I'm going to chop those off and that off at the bottom there. And then I'm going to probably take that one off and that one. I'm going to take the edges down a little bit as well. And if I move down here to my cob nut, I'm not quite sure what to do with these because it talks about taking the canes up from the ground. or taking the spindly ones out. So maybe I'll have to take this off, or at least lift it up for now, because there are some really spindly ones here. So I'll just cut a few of those that are crossing off out. I'm quite happy with the growth at the bottom, to be honest. I think it's quite so easy to work out what to do with something that is multi-stemmed, but I'm still going to take off things like this one that we're crossing and try and give it a bit more openness in the middle, but I'm not taking a lot off this at all. Now if I move down to this tree, this is my almond, and it says to do this in January and February, and it's okay to prune it as long as there's no frosts in the near future, and there aren't any frosts. So all I'm going to do with this is actually pretty much just take these top stems down, because it's growing very tall already for such a new plant. And again, like everything else, just taking out what's crossing into each other. Probably should take that entire stem out, but I feel like there won't be much blossom left if I do. But oh well, let's go for it. This has got lots and lots of buds on it. I'm very excited for almond blossom. I'm still here with the hand sanitizer. Oh, don't tip it out. Now this is a pear tree that's got quite a lot of growth on it actually. This is one of the oldest ones, and this is going to be a fairly big pear tree if I don't keep on top of it. And again, I'm just going for anything that's crossing inwards, not going outwards. It's just coming off. It's as simple as that. So things like this stem here, gone. Now if you look at this apple tree here, I'm going to take off this heading into the middle and down. Don't want those. I don't really want this heading down either, so that can go. Oh dear. The last one for me to do anything with is this bramble. No, Bramley apple. I knew that was wrong. And again, I'm just going to be reducing these top stems a little bit because they're getting a bit growing away from it. And hopefully, in a couple of years' time, it's going to look like a pretty magical apple tree. That's it then. That didn't take long at all, did it? But that's the entirety of the orchard ready to go for the new season. I want to just harvest a couple of buckets of these cara potatoes, and I'm a little bit worried about these because obviously since these have been in the greenhouse we've had -8.9, and I don't know whether the fleece that was on them and the soil that are in the buckets was enough to protect them from that level of frost. So now is the moment of truth. Oh, it's looking good. Oh, it's looking very darn good. Look at that from one bucket. Wow, this is amazing. I'm definitely really sold on this variety, and that's another reason that I wanted to harvest these today, because I'd like to grow cara again, but I didn't want to obviously leave them in the buckets because there'd be too many potatoes in one bucket. So I wanted to harvest them and be able to put some aside, hopefully if they hadn't spoiled with the frost. And they look like they're absolutely fine. And that's great news, because obviously had they succumbed to the frost while they've been in the greenhouse, then I would have been buying some cara seed potatoes for this season. But I don't think I'm going to need to. Oh, wow. And again, these were planted in April last year. very, very pleased with that. Now, as much as I don't really need a second bucket for myself, I did promise that I'd get some main crop potatoes for my sister because she seems to have only ordered first and second earlies. So I told her that I'd got plenty, I hoped, and that I'd be able to share with her. I definitely can't complain about that harvest from 2 buckets of potatoes that were planted right back in April last year. They have stored so well, but I am going to be starting to push my luck shortly because they will start to regrow before very long when the weather warms up, which is not happening right now. I am absolutely freezing. What I want to do next is actually use this compost that I have left to top up the brassica bed. I think it'll do well in there. Now, I'm not going to get this all the way in here, so I'm just going to gently put it in there and go around the other way and shovel it in. I'll try and get all the little potatoes out that I find. Now, another job that I've been meaning to do for a couple of weeks is actually carry on thinning these carrots, but also to come in with a fork or a trowel and actually stick some holes down in here, because a couple of weeks ago in my comment section when I was saying about how this had capped in here, Robin from Robin Gardens had commented to say, could I not stick some holes in to kind of try and break up the surface of the soil? And do you know what? Genius, Robin, genius. I think that's loads better. Now, what I am going to do before I go in the house, because I keep promising to do it, is actually thin these out properly, because I don't want to go on to So Chatty again and say that I haven't done this job that I keep putting off. So I'm going to get that done. And talking of So Chatty, it's been absolutely brilliant to be back with you hosting that. And it was a long month, January was, that we were away, and it's lovely to be back to all of your comments and the engagement. So thank you very much to everybody that follows along on that. And if you don't watch So Chatty and you'd like to, here is a link to our latest video. I'll catch you here next Sunday, but I'll see you next Wednesday for So Chatty. Look after yourselves. Bye.